All right, so let's talk about ankle mobility in the squat. So ankle mobility in the squat. Here's something super simple that you can do, and one of the things that will prevent you. I gotta make sure I'm looking at the camera here. One of the things that will prevent you from getting into a beautiful squat position down low is the amount of ankle mobility that you have. Your knees need to be able to move forward, right? Even though the old trainers and everybody told you that knees should never go forward, that's false. Okay, it's false. Like it's not true. There's a time and a place for that. It's false as long as you can keep your foot flat. Okay, if you're coming up on your toes, then yes, then it's a problem. But if you can keep your foot flat and you have the adequate range of motion at the ankle, then there's nothing wrong with knees forward. In fact, you almost have to go knees forward in order for you to get into a beautiful squat. Okay, so if you're missing dorsiflexion, and I'm going to show you my foot here. Dorsiflexion is when this shin bone and the top of the foot, when the shin bone comes forward. This is dorsiflexion. And notice, you can see here's my butt, my glute, right? Look what happens when I close this down. My hips can come closer to my heel. It makes it much easier to go through full range of motion in the squat, to allow for more knee flexion, hip flexion, to get down into a lower position of the squat safely. Okay, so it starts, so much of it is at the ankle. It's crazy. It's why weightlifters wear weightlifting shoes. That's a whole other conversation. I shouldn't even go there. So anyways, so let's work on dorsiflexion. If you're missing dorsiflexion, in other words, if you get to about here and I try to push my knee forward, but I can't create this, if I try to push my knee forward and this happens, that means you're missing dorsiflexion, right? Because now the movement's not occurring in the knee, right? It's just happening by the weight distribution of my foot. So again, remember, there's nothing wrong with knee forward as long as you can keep your foot flat. Okay, we don't want to load the system and squat like this. It's just unstable, right? Because they're trying to balance on your toe. Heavy squats shouldn't be a balance exercise. Okay, you should be stable. All right. So how can we increase range of motion? So if you're missing something, if you're missing this range of motion, you can, and I'm kneeling down. You can see my other knee is down. So I'm kneeling down and, oops, trying to get this right here. Sorry. Struggling. All right, it's gonna be a little, hold on. Let me move this over a little bit. Okay, so we want to anchor this, right? So I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to like anchor it. And I'm sort of wrapping that Achilles tendon, which is right here, right? So like this crux of my hand is going right in there, and then I'm going to push down, okay? And now I'm going to take my other hand and I'm going to put it on top of my knee, and I'm going to push that knee forward, okay? And I know you can't see that, but you can see my other hand, right, is pushing that knee forward. See that? And I've got really good ankle range of motion. So, you know, this wouldn't be so much for me, only because I've been practicing this for literally years, right? So anchor this heel down, use this hand and kind of push that knee forward. And I'm kind of even leaning into it a little bit, right? And you can just kind of hang out here. Let me give you a front view. So if I back this up, when I'm doing this, and I'm anchoring that heel and I'm pushing this forward, I can even kind of move this around a little bit, and I can go back and forth. Like I can just kind of circle here. But goal is keep that ankle, or keep that heel anchored down, and just kind of circle around and spend some time, right, with a flat foot and trying to increase that ankle range of motion, right? And then we can go to the other side. So same deal on this side, right? I'm going to anchor this down, and I can try to go through. This side's tighter for me, but I can try to go through some of these positions and then just hang out, right? This is going to take time. Right? It's going to take time. We're trying to retrain the muscles and the tendons to be able to get into some of these other positions, these other ranges of motion, right? That you may not be used to. If you think about it, if you think about one of the reasons that we get so tight in those areas is when we're seated during our day, which a lot of us are. What is the position of our foot when we're seated? Like when I'm sitting down and I kick my feet out, right? What do I do with my ankle? I close this. And all of a sudden I get up to squat and I got to go in this opposite position, right? But I've trained my muscles to be in this spot. What position are we in the ankle when we're sleeping, right? If I'm sleeping, I'm like this, right? What about when I'm driving my car? I'm like this. It's very rare that we ever need to go into what we call dorsiflexion, right? So that's why we tend to lose it over the years and why it's important to rebuild it. And you can see just by me squatting here, right? Check that out. It's the only reason I'm able to get into this low squat position, right? Because of this, right? At least a comfortable one. If I were to go to 90 degrees, like I can't even balance, right? So you can see just how important ankle dorsiflexion is for your squat. So there you go. There's my super close-up intimate video about ankle range of motion, why it's important, and how you can start to work on it to create more, okay?